and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on most recently, what we expect to happen next, and all that wonderful stuff. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, and select all the notifications. In doing so, you will not miss another video update here at YouTube. Above and beyond all of those things, though, guys, the must-be place is the Discord server. It's the place that we go to first to update everybody on the ins and the outs of what is happening in the crypto industry. Get ahead of the game, know about FTX before it implodes by joining the Discord server. There's a lot down in the Discord server. It's completely free. Links in the description below. And why not check it out? If you're looking for more from the crypto space, you can check out the Patreon services in the description below as well if you choose to. Let's actually jump right down into this, though. Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is our data source. And we're dancing around here with the 200 EMA a little bit. And things aren't looking too great for the price action of BTC on the smaller time frames. This does not mean, however, that slightly longer term things are that bleak. Okay, there's actually probably three different things I want to focus in on this video. Okay, on the price action of the chart. Okay, so start off with I'm going to focus in on this movement just here. So it's actually probably a really good place to think about it. So in here, we actually have this movement. If I take a fib and I measure that entire distance here, okay, this basically being an A wave, we come up into this high point here and we come down to this low point. Now, if I take this fib and I measure that entire A wave distance and I go ahead and move this over to our B wave just here, we can see that we come down right here, just a little bit north of the 1-to-1 ratio. So that looks like it's pretty much complete. Okay, so we have this kind of three-wave drop right in here. Then, of course, we start to move to the upside, and this is again another interesting one, bit of a reset on our momentum indicators, which I'll talk about that in a moment. And you can see here we've just come up and we're getting rejected from the 1.236 this time. And you can see, if I go ahead and delete this off, that we're unable to close above the 200 EMA. So we broke it, we turned it to support. We were trying to stay above it as best we could. We broke below, we tested it, we get rejected. You kind of know how that story is going to go next. So if I go ahead and put three waves on here and measure this in, we can see that we've had a little bit of a mini correction in there. Now we can take stock of this entire situation and say, okay, well, if we take a measurement of this A, B, and C structure here, we move it over to the wicks of this C wave high point. The next move might be down towards $16,126 as a bigger structure. If I go ahead and actually won't snap this to it, I'll just pull this down. We come up here into a B wave, and then we come down here into a C wave. Okay, you can kind of see this playing out. So on this real micro movement, what's my next kind of expectations? As I was talking about on Twitch this morning when we were streaming, we were somewhere around here. A lot of people were shorting the market. I said, don't be too surprised if we move up before we move down. We've come up. So the next expectation is going to be to move on down, okay? So that's going to be what I think is going to happen here on this hourly chart in the course of today. Now, if we take a look at the momentum, we are up nice and high, overbought on this 1 hour chart. We're also overbought on the 4 hour, on the 8 hour and the daily, but not the 4 hour chart. The 4 hour chart is something that we do need to talk about though. So let's go ahead and delete that fib off. Before I do that, I'm going to put that on there. And I'm just going to go ahead and tap this little area just here so we mark it up as a bit of a zone that we're aiming for. Okay, so you can kind of see this structure in here. I'm going to clear out all the noise. We don't need to know that, but we kind of get an idea. We're getting rejected from the 200 EMA there, and we're pulling down. But we can't ignore what's going on with the 4 hour. So if I come up into our 4 hour chart here, what do we see? Well, we can see that we actually have this progression. Let me get rid of this. Okay, we can see that we're going up here in a pretty decent way, and then we come down to our low on our hourly chart. That's yet to play out, but that's kind of where I think we're going. And then we're going to move up. Okay, how high are we going to move? So let's go ahead and check it. So on this 4 hour chart, we can see that we can progress up towards our 1-to-1 ratio, coming up slightly higher than this B wave point at the moment, up towards $17,500. It's a bit of a test. I don't know if we're going to go all that way, but it's something that we should be aware of. And you can see this could be on a bit of a collision course with the 4 hour 200 EMA just up here. And we can see that this could come down and coincide with our 1-to-1 ratio retesting the 4 hour EMA, this 4 hour 200 EMA at that. Okay, so we can see here that that's kind of the progression. But all of this would just be a B wave movement on a larger time frame. Let's go up into our 8 hour. In fact, actually, before I do that, I'm going to grab hold of this one and just put it onto the 8-hour chart. So I'm just going to change that. I'm going to put that onto the 8-hour to, let's say, 10, 12-hour, that'll do, and pull that up. So, what did I do wrong? Oh yeah, I don't want it on the 4, do I? I want it on the 8 to 12. There we go. So if I come up here, we can then actually start to think about, actually there's a move to the upside about 17,500, and then we move down, and it's a bigger 3-wave structural point. Okay, so if we start scaling this out, we can start to get the idea that actually there's a lot of movements going on. Okay, and this could take us down to $15,218, a new lower low over the entire market here. I'd actually have to drag this out quite a bit, and our B wave here would have to also come out into this direction as well. So you can kind of see that it plays out a bit like this. So that's looking pretty positive because we have this downward price action where obviously if I bring the stochastic RSI up nice and high on here, and you can also see if I come up to the 12-hour, we're overbought, 16-hour, we're overbought, 20-hour, we're overbought, daily chart, we're just up in the overbought area, meaning that we still have that potential move upwards before we can move on down and all that kind of stuff. So do expect some volatility when it comes to BTC. And in fact, this A wave is actually down here. So it should be looking like this. Okay, so we get a pretty decent idea as to kind of how things are playing out here when it comes to Bitcoin. There's a lot of things to be thinking about, lots of exciting things to come. But I think it's important that we acknowledge that, we don't move in straight lines. We're expecting some kind of move downwards, then some kind of move upwards, and then further downside after that. Essentially, it's a big 3-wave structure, and there isn't terribly too much more to it. We are obviously getting rejected on the 200 EMA on the hourly chart, but we get to test it on the 4-hourly, and I still think we've got plenty of room on the 8 and daily charts, etc. So lots of room to the downside, limited amounts of room to the upside on a bigger macro scale of things. We can, of course, take a look at the inflows and the outflows for Bitcoin. We can see that they've come down quite a bit, but generally the story is that Bitcoin is being withdrawn from exchanges. So that continues. There's very little in the way of demand coming in for BTC, but also for all other cryptocurrency assets as well. If I come back to coin market cap here, let me just give this a quick refresh. You can see that the trading volume in the last 24 hours is only $51 billion. It is absolutely tiny. And that's a big thing that we should really acknowledge when it comes to Bitcoin. We can also take a look at Bitcoin specifically. It is $2.5 billion in trading volume in the last 24 hours, right? So there's a lot of things to be thinking about. There's not a lot of participants here when it comes to BTC. There's not many people actually wanting to get terribly too involved with it. In terms of the wallet counts, we're pretty much business as usual. Retailers are withdrawing from the exchanges, and whales aren't really doing terribly too much. I am interested to see what's going on with these 10,000 Bitcoin or more wallets. They are decreasing at the moment, probably looking to try to bring the market down a bit. A little bits of fluctuation with the whales and the sharks, but terribly not terribly too much to really talk about that's different from the last 24 hours or so. So definitely one to keep an eye on the larger side of things, but everything else we are still waiting for retailers to sell and for the whales to be buying. Essentially what we're really talking about here is what happened previously, which is that the retailers got shaken out of the space, and when they got shaken out, we saw the whales buying. So yeah, I guess for now, the main thing that we want to be really focusing in on is that price action is going to be volatile as people start to, continue to withdraw from exchanges. Pockets of people start to sell off their assets. And, with a shrinkage of the supply on the exchanges, it doesn't take terribly too much demand to push the price up either. So do watch out. I do think there's going to be a lot of volatility that's going to be taken advantage of by the whales and the institutions, the market makers. I think they're going to take advantage of any liquidity that they can find in the market. So do be cautious with your trading activities if you are using leverage and things like that. Spot trading, you could also find yourself in a spot of bother if you're not having a long-term kind of mindset. Dollar cost averaging is always a good strategy. We did talk about this on the Cheeky podcast channel actually this morning. So if you haven't already checked that out, links in the description below. We talk about portfolios, we talk about strategies in terms of when to buy and all those kind of usual things. So do check that out in the description. description down below. And make sure you subscribe to that channel. There's a lot of really exciting things happening there on the Cheeky podcast. So do check it out in the description below. But for now, as I said, my expectations are we're slight move down, 16,126, moving on up to about 17.5 before crashing back down into a new lower low. I'm going to leave this video right there. If you're looking for more, join us down in Discord. There's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.